Okay, so let's first begin with some simple coding things and give you the very basics that you'll need to be using in every single piece of code that you write. So for now, we'll select the playground, which is just here. Select a blank template and then give your file a name. I'll just call mine Swift lesson 1 for the time being. And I'm going to save mine in my desktop, although you can save yours wherever makes sense for you. So once it opens, you may see something like this. When your Xcode starts, you may see that your screen looks different to my video, or perhaps videos of other ones that you've seen on YouTube. If you want to change yours to better suit the way that you use the computer, or maybe you just want it to match what you see on the screen, you simply just go to Editor and then Theme. Choose and play around with the different options that you have available here. If you want the background to be black and the writing to be other colors and things, you might go with something like Classic Dark and it will look like something like this. Also, if you want the font to look bigger or smaller, then it's just very simply Command plus to make it bigger, and by the same logic, Command minus to make it smaller. I'm just going to make mine a little bit bigger so it comes on the whole screen so it's easier for you to see. I think that the dark screen modes are often used by developers, partly because it's easy on the eyes if you look at a screen for a long time, but also perhaps because it looks a bit cooler, maybe the type of things that you see on the movies. In the top right hand corner, you'll see these icons. Clicking on them brings up a window on either side of the Xcode. The only thing that's really probably useful for you at the moment is the one that brings up the bottom message dialog. But in the lessons that we'll be doing, the message box will pop up automatically when we need it. You'll also see two small icons at the bottom. The one at the bottom left brings up the dialog box, and the play button arrow basically compiles and runs the code. At the moment, not a lot is going on. If you press the square button, like any media player, then it stops. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger on the side. What happens on the right side in here basically gives you an idea of what's happening in the background, what the computer's doing or thinking. What comes down at the bottom here are basically the messages that will be sent to the users, things that would pop up on their screen when they're using the app. So if we're to press play here, nothing comes up here because we haven't written a command to tell it to give a message to the user. But in here, it's obviously recording the fact that we've got a hello playground message. So let's write our first piece of code that's actually going to do something and something that we can see happen. The first thing I want to do is just change this str into message. In the next video, we'll talk about creating pieces of data or information and giving it names and all this. At the minute, I just put message because it might make a bit more sense when you look at it yourself. And inside the speech marks, then perhaps we could say something on lines of welcome to my new app. And on here, to create a message for the user, we can just simply press the command print. Then we put brackets. You'll notice as you start using Xcode that when you start typing, Xcode will always be scanning what you're doing. That's partly to look for errors and flaws in your programming, but also to try and help you. And it also kind of predicts what you're trying to type, like when you're typing messages in your phone. So you can either continue to type printing, like the message. I'm going to put message in here, but here it will also suggest message can be placed. So if you just press the return key, then it will fill it in for you without having to type out the rest of it, which gets to be kind of useful when you start giving variables longer names, and it sort of removes typing errors. So if we stop it from the last time it was running and then press play, then it will run through the code and it will display a message to the user saying, welcome to my new app. So congratulations, we've actually written our first piece of code that does something and notifies a user. So we're going to stop the lesson here. In the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening on the screen and actually how we create things and start to identify a piece of information that we're going to need to use when we start making our own apps. So I hope to see you in the next video.